All right, so we are going to try and model these water features here. And in order to do that, first I need to hide my controls. All right, I think, so I'm going to show you just using a single wall thickness and type. But as you can see in the images here, there are a wide range of thicknesses and materials. So this is the thickest one, and then you've got this one's a little less thick, but it's still thicker than this. This and this are about the same, but they're different materials. So there's a lot going on here. I'm going to show you the how-to. But before you create your water feature, make sure you've created some new materials with different thicknesses. If you don't want to eyeball it, you can come into Google Earth and it has a measurement tool. So I can come in here and I can pick the edge of this, come over, and that's about 6 feet. And I can come down here, and that's about 2 feet. So I'll check over here just to make sure that we're consistent. So if I come from here to here, yeah, that's about 6 feet. So I would, when you're changing thicknesses, I would start with this one because that's going to tell you how thick this wall needs to be. Because all these faces line up with each other. So create your 6 foot thick ones, make the rest match. You know, this is going to be a 2 foot, this is going to be a 2 foot. Let's just check this outer wall while we're here. That's 4 or 5. All right, so let's get back into Revit. If I want to make a wall, assuming I'm just going to use the 12-inch travertine. And let's say I want it to start on the topography and go up to level 0. I'm going to get rid of this offset. But I want to use pick wall. The problem is, as soon as I switch from draw to pick wall, all this changes. So whatever method you're going to use, do that first. Otherwise, this is going to reset on you. So I'm going to go from level 2 to level 0. I'm going to have the pick wall on, and I'm just going to start grabbing all these inside edges. You want to make sure you're to the outside of the path. So yeah, I got that right. Or depending on which one, you want it to go in. And you'll see that blue dash there. So now I just need to use the trim tool. Same thing here. This extends beyond. And I'm not going to create this little section here because once you change this to be that 6 foot thick, and then you're going to change this thickness to line it up. So let's go to our 3D view, make sure it actually is where we wanted it to be. Yes. So now they are starting on the ground level and coming all the way up. While I'm in this view, remember these are the lower ones. They don't quite come up that high. So I'm going to click these two, holding control. I'm going to make them unconnected. I'm only going to make them, I don't know, 6 inches high. Just enough to hold the small amount of water on the lower level in. All right, so I've got those. I've got my uppers. And now I want to create that curved wall that all the water comes down from. In CAD Lab, I can just draw walls and use the fillet arc. For some reason, that same functionality does not work when I'm at home. And I am trying to make this menu disappear. There we go. Now I can actually see. So I'm going to have to use model lines. If you're in the CAD lab, you don't have to. It's the same process, but I'm going to have to draw the model lines first and then put walls in. So I'm going to go to architecture, model line. And I'm just going to make an L shape right now. Let me come all the way to this wall. And now I can go to fillet and make this curve. This is an extra step because my personal computer is glitching every time I try and do it with walls. If you're in the CAD lab, you should be able to do this all in one go, just using walls. So I'm going to go back to architecture, wall. Again, I'm going to go pick line. I'm going to start at level -2. I'm going to go up to level 0. And because I don't want it flowing back in here and I want it flowing over this way, I'm going to give it a -2-inch offset. Apply. Now I'm going to zoom in here. And fine, I'll go with the inside. So now I've got all these. Let's check it out in 3D. Perfect. That's exactly where I want it. Now this is the point where you're going to come in and you're going to edit this wall. Oops, let me undo. So you're going to come in and you're going to pick this wall and you're going to edit it and you're going to duplicate it and you're going to decide how thick it is. So let's just call it 6-foot wall. And this is where you'd come in and you'd edit the structure. So I'm just going to show this one. Okay. So now we have a wall that comes all the way out here. That might be a little too big. So play around with what looks right to you. That does not look like the photographs to me. So Google Earth measurement tool appears to be off. But then I would say, okay, what's the difference here? How much do I need to make this thicker? And that's a whole lot easier to do now than after you've done your water feature. So I'm going to undo that change. And I'm just going to do the water feature for now as is. So again, from here, I know that I need to make water. So if I go to manage, go to materials, I'm going to make a new material. I'm going to rename it. I'm going to call it water 2 because I think I already have a water, but you probably won't. Click OK. Now I'm going to use this asset browser. I'm going to type in water. And I've got this nice clear water. Double click it. Now it's part of that material. And when we make our water feature, it will have all the same qualities of water. Apply, okay. So now I'm going to just do a component model in place. I'm going to make it a generic model. Click OK. It's an extrusion. And I'm going to change my base level or my reference plane to be level -2 because that's where my topography is. I'm going to use pick lines. I'm going to pick this line and this line. Now I'm going to add an offset so that it flows over that wall. I'm just going to make it 1/2 inch. Now if I scroll in, I want to make sure I'm on the outside. I have to trim up these edges or I'll get an error message. Same thing down here. Now I have my outline for my collar water that overflows into the lower area. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to edit the work plane and disassociate it because it is being copied. Now I'm going to go into my 3D view. And that's a little low for my taste. So I'm going to come into this view until it's just above here. Let me see if that's what I actually want. Yeah. So now we are covering these walls. It might be a little too tall. I don't want to go in there. I'm just gonna bring it down to there and try again. Okay, now I'm definitely underneath that. I'm not going to spill into the walkway. I can finish the model. I'm going to do one more for the lower area. I'm going to go architecture component, model in place. It's going to be another generic model. Another extrusion and also on level -2. I'm going to use pick line. I'm going to do the inside of these lower walls. The outside of these walls. I will have to use the trim tool because that's clearly going way beyond. All right, so now I can trim here to here, here to here. And I want to cut this one short and extend this one. Now I have a boundary for my second water feature. Again, yours will be very different because you'll have a much thicker wall here. So don't do this until you're done changing your walls. Oh, it's still set to blue solid. All right, so let me change this to water. Okay. I'm gonna click OK. I'm going to disassociate it from the work plane. And I'm going to check my 3D view. That's a little tall. So I'm going to come back in here. And I'm just going to bring it a little bit underneath. I can finish the model. Now I'm going to highlight this one again, edit in place, and change that from a solid blue to water. So assuming you have changed all your wall thicknesses before you made your water feature, You can now highlight all of this and mirror it to the other side. It's not letting me grab these walls right now, so I'm going to switch views while I'm still selecting. I'm going to come in here. And now I can still add those to the selection. Mirror. There's my model line. And now I have two identical water features. All right, so the next one's going to be retaining walls and sidewalks. And then I'll finish up with all the other little site things.